What's up, guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to go over two methods for you to get the measurements you need in order to create the next product for your clothing brand. These processes are ideal for beginners working with overseas manufacturers mainly. These methods apply to any type of garment, but today we're going to be focusing on t-shirts. The first method is a physical reference. This could be a shirt you already own in your closet, or a shirt that your friend owns. The next step is to record every single point of measurement, and I mean every single point of measurement, and we're going to go over that extensively coming up. This is the most accurate form of measuring if you want to completely replicate any garment. So the first point of measurement is the top of the shoulder. The second is the top of the sleeve, and then we're going to go to the sleeve opening, and then the bottom of the sleeve, and then we're going to do the body length, and then we're going to do the chest. Next, we're going to do the hem at the bottom, and then we're going to do the armhole opening, and then we're going to do the height of the collar. Now, this next part can be done in two ways. The first is the width of the neck, and then the height, which is the top of the neckline to the bottom of the neckline. Now, this next way you don't have to do, but my pattern maker does it this way, which I found very interesting, where he'll take the measuring tape and basically slide it along the curved portion of the neckline. He says this is more accurate, so whichever method you're comfortable with is fine. And lastly, we're going to do shoulder to shoulder. Method 2 involves going to a specific brand's website and reviewing their size charts. This method is useful if you like a fit of a particular brand's garment and don't have it in person to measure. It provides a really good baseline for you to work off of for your garment's measurements. Now, keep in mind, not all brands have size charts on their website. If they do, they'll typically only have the chest, body length, shoulders, and maybe the arm. Now, when I refer to the phrase baseline measurements, I'm referring to the key measurements that are only available on the size chart. So it's only 4, and that's not including all of the other points of measurements that you need. So simply go to the desired website, click on the product you want, and find the size chart in the description. This method works well if you want to combine the size chart measurements and then also work with a physical reference to substitute the rest of the measurements that are missing from the size chart. I created a hoodie using a size chart from John Elliott's website, which at the time I think they only had the shoulders, chest, body length, and arm length. Since I only had partial measurements, the supplier had to work with what I gave them versus what work they had to do to fill in the rest of the measurements. So I got lucky in terms of giving them partial measurements, them doing the work, and getting the product back wearable in the first sample phase. I don't recommend solely relying on size chart measurements, as the garment may not come out right, and you may have to do multiple samples based on your manufacturer guessing the rest of the measurements. When using these methods, don't limit yourself to using just the measurements that you found on the reference sample. If the fit feels a little too small on the body, you can add a couple inches to the body length. If the sleeves are too loose or too large, you can decrease the width to your desired fit. This ensures that you get the exact fit that you want for your t-shirt. After you've completed the measurements, you're going to want to determine what size you want for that sample. For example, if you're using an extra large sample for your reference and you use those measurements, more than likely you're going to want to take that and implement that into a sample that is also an extra large. However, if you want to do something that's oversized, you can always take the measurements from the extra large, but rename it to a size 2XL. Don't assume because your reference is a large that you have to stick with it being a large. When starting out, most people don't realize this next step, and to me, it's the most important part because this can completely change the way that you look at measurements and the way that you communicate measurements with your manufacturer. And what I'm talking about are seam allowances. Now, a seam allowance is the distance between the stitching line and the raw cut edge of the fabric when sewing. It's the extra fabric that allows for a strong, durable seam and provides room for fit adjustments and finishing. If you're not familiar with seam allowances and you don't communicate this with your manufacturer, your shirt is going to come back not completely different, but it's going to come back to a 1/4 of an inch, a 1/2 inch, or even an inch from what you recommended that t-shirt to measure. This is because you didn't specify with your supplier that you wanted the measurements that you're giving them to be the measurements after seam allowances. For example, if you want the body length of your t-shirt to be 26 inches long, you're going to want to tell them, I need it 26 inches long after seam allowances. So what they are going to do is take your 26 inches, put it into the pattern making software, and add seam allowance, which is going to be about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch. So when they go and fold the fabric, they're going to cut it at 26.5 inches, fold the fabric, sew it together, and then have it come out to 26 inches, which is what you requested. Another important thing to remember to talk to your manufacturer about is if the fabric is pre-shrunk or not. This is not only crucial for you, but for your customers that will wear your product and then eventually wash that product. If you don't ask them this and they give you non-pre-shrunk fabric, then what's going to happen is you're going to give that to your customer. The customer is going to wear it, love it, say it's a size large. They're going to put that in the washing machine and it's going to shrink a full size, if not more. So not only will you have a problem with the customer, but you're also going to have a problem with, say you buy 50 hoodies, you only sell 20 of them. You're now stuck with 30 other hoodies that have discrepancies in terms of sizing. And you'll be left with improperly sized inventory, and no one wants that. That's pretty much all the info that I could think of in terms of sharing with you to help you get started with creating your own custom clothes. So I hope that this information helped you in creating your own clothes for your own clothing brand. If you found this video useful, make sure to like it, make sure to comment any questions that you have, and maybe I can make a video on it, and subscribe for more videos in the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.